episode 7. And our theme today, or our topic or discussion today, is letting go to become. And I know for myself personally, and for a lot of us out there, there has been a lot of letting go. And I'm even using that word a lot. And today is actually quite significant. Ola, it is a 7/7 portal or gateway, whatever we want to call it. We've got these specific dates in the calendar where you've got those, I feel they're kind of like pillars. So we're walking between the sevens right now and the life paths. And there's many different beliefs or ideas around what that is. However, the 7/7 time frame has been an interesting time for myself. And I even was curious if others of you have been feeling that, if there's specific dates of the year or even specific months that are either challenging for you or exciting. I find for me personally, September, I love September. It's transitioning into fall, and there's always things that are quite significant and exciting that are happening at that time. Hola. But our theme for today, or our discussion today, is letting go to become. And as I mentioned, there's been a lot of letting go personally and even collectively. I know a lot of folks have been letting go, and it feels like even years of letting go and years of going through these, for a lack of words, but perhaps it's the correct word, would be initiations. And once again, not to say that if you're letting go, there's something wrong with you, or there's something wrong with the way things have been working. But at the same time, perhaps the letting go is allowing you to become who God, Source Divine, Higher Self has intended you to be, or even allowing things to become what they want to be, things to become what they're destined to be. And the reason I'm sharing this is because there's been, oh my gosh, there's been so much change in my life and in my world. And I know I'm not the only one. Like, we are not strangers to change as human species. And I know each and every one of us is going through different experiences. And at the same time, each and every one of us most likely is going through change. And yeah, oh my goodness. When I just think about the last couple years of all of the changes that have happened, we could look at life, but even business, there's just been so much change. But at the same time, it's been necessary change. And this is what we're saying too, of that letting go to become. Because sometimes you can be comfortable, quote unquote comfortable, because sometimes you might not be comfortable. It could feel comfortable. So often the familiar, right? We could be creatures of habit as humans. So you have the familiar, you know it. It's the comfort, quotations again. But sometimes that can be limiting. It's fine and dandy to have these ways of being, or spaces in life and business as well that are comfortable, that you can do on autopilot, that inside and out. But at the same time, do you become stuck in that? Does it become stagnant? Do you create opportunities to evolve and grow? And sometimes that evolution and that growth requires letting go. And where we were saying, like, the changes, the necessary changes. And just something to be curious about and to ask yourself, to ask your heart, are there current aspects of your life. We could look at it, you in this moment, in this time in your life. If you've got businesses, if you've got relationships, are there specific aspects of your reality? Let's even call it your reality. Are there specific aspects of your reality that are asking for change? And are you resisting? I'll raise my hand. Oh my God. Change isn't always comfortable. So are you resisting or are you embracing it? Are you open to allowing the changes to unfold? Are you open to initiating the changes? Are you open to receiving the change that's coming forward? And once again, there could be letting go involved. There could be endings that happen to welcome this change. And there's that saying of every ending is a beginning. And I truly believe that in my heart. In my heart and my soul. And sometimes, endings can be painful. Sometimes endings can be exciting. But regardless, when there's an ending, there's a beginning. So to think of that as well, because just because something's coming to completion, just because there are doors that might be closing, there are also doors that are opening. And that's the beautiful thing about being in this world, that as being human, yes, there can be limitations, but at the same time, there's so much going on behind the scenes that we might not even be able to fully comprehend. Like if we want to go into that greater space of God, source, divine, these divine plans, everything that is orchestrated behind the scenes, for you in that moment, if change is being asked of you and you're scared, or you don't know what the outcomes are going to be, or, oh my gosh, the unknown. Ooh, stepping into the unknown. You as the human could just be so fearful, so unsure, worried even in different cases. But on that spiritual level of these divine plans and just what God Source Divine has for you, higher self, whatever wording we want to use, there's nothing to be afraid of. And that's something really important to mention. There's nothing to be afraid of or to be concerned about when we're in that absolute state of surrender and trust. However, easier said than done. Oh, how many times have you been given opportunities to surrender or trust the process and you can't do it? Or, it's just like back and forth. Like I've been there once. We are human. And sometimes we can be attached, right? There can be attachment. You don't want to let go because you don't know what the outcomes are. You don't know how it's all going to work. We don't need to know how everything's going to work. And for me personally, today feels like a very significant day because as much as there's been personal changes going on internally, like this alchemy of false selves, false truths, like just identities, it's all been being purified, being purged, being refined in these fires and trials. There's been many trials. There's been this slow shedding and letting go. Personally, but then when we go through these changes, it happens in every aspect of our life. If you have a business, if you are going through changes and transformations, naturally your business will shift and transform as well. They're interconnected. And so it's important to be mindful of that. I know there's been times where, oh gosh, if life turned into a dumpster fire, so did business. So we need to set up systems for ourselves in business so that everything doesn't come crumbling down if you do, you know, like the systems and structures need to be put in place. And this is just, you know, words of wisdom learnt from the not having the proper systems and structures put in place. And so you learn and you grow. But if you can set yourself up for that prior to having those moments, you will thank yourself. Your future self will thank yourself. Oh, and every part of business will thank yourself. However, I digress. So even for myself personally, with the changes, there's been a rebranding that's been happening, and it's been slow. Ooh. It has been slow. It's not always easy to let go. Like, I know we talk about it and just like the advocating of letting go to become, and just letting go of what does not serve so that you can fully be and receive. But this human experience is no joke. No joke, because you'll have patterns come up from the past. You'll have thoughts infiltrate you. You'll just have all of these roadblocks, so to speak, of why you can't let go, why you have to hold on. So for me, I've had heart-to-heart journey, which is my business, which, gosh, for over 10 years, it's been heart-to-heart journey. And it is no more. It's transformed into more of a personal brand. So it's going to be under me, Terra Kenzie Longacre. Things that have been part of my business structure since the beginning are going away. And that has been mixed feelings. It's been bittersweet in a sense, because as much as these parts of my life have been beneficial not only to me but to clients, through the evolution, I'm being pulled in different directions. And part of that, and full transparency, because that's how I roll, part of the slow letting go is when you have something that is your livelihood, it's how you've made money. And I know my 9-to-5 folks, you know what I'm talking about. I've worked with so many clients where you've got a 9-to-5 job, but at the same time, you know, you're being pulled in different directions. Maybe you want to be helping people with coaching or sound healing, or, you know, different pathways that are a passion to you. Well, and more than a passion, they could be a passion, but it feels like this calling deep within your soul. But you've got the 9-to-5. The 9-to-5 is your stability. The 9-to-5 is your security. The 9-to-5 is how you pay your bills. It's the job. It's how you pay your bills. But taking the leap into those uncharted waters could be scary, could feel overwhelming. And we experience that as well as entrepreneurs. Like, it's just like, if you've got it as humans, could we just even strip it away to being human, regardless? If you've got the 9-to-5, if you've got your own business, we all experience that. And for me, yeah, the letting go was slow. So I see you and I acknowledge all of you. And I've always recommended to clients, if you've got your 9-to-5, like, don't jump ship on it right away. Don't do that. You don't want to jump ship on what is that stability, what is that security. You want to have a nervous system that feels supported as well. So to transition slowly into things, to like set things up for yourself. Yeah, because I would never just recommend someone to completely start jumping into their soul-led business overnight, because it takes time. And something to remember too, it is part of your life, and it's a career. Like, it's like a career of a lifetime as well when you are having your own business. I love that we've just like spun into talking about business, but it's a lifelong career too. So you're in it for the long game. So you want to support yourself and create those foundations that will support you long term as well. So that's just be mindful of be mindful of your safety and security, but then also at the same time be mindful of are there fears or is there self-sabotage that's coming up. So for me, transitioning more specifically with Akashic Records, retiring the Akashic Initiation Program was huge, because I've been teaching workshops and trainings for the Akashic Records for like 10 years. So it's been such a beautiful experience, and really being I've been receiving so many heartfelt messages from students and clients, and it's been amazing. But oh my gosh, I feel like I'm babbling right now. So I want to go back into the letting go. So letting go of that was from a human level, a lot like the bittersweet, of course, but then a lot of like, oh my gosh, this is my business. This is the structure. What does life look like moving forward if I don't have this? And you might know those questions. You might ask yourself, whether it is work related, whether it is relationships, whether it's aspects of yourself or identity. What does life look like without this? And you might even be walking through your life in your reality thinking that you could never live without something, or that you could never envision your life being without something. So we hold on. So we don't let go. Perhaps once again, like those states of comfort. Question to pose to the heart: what would be your biggest fear around letting go? So to even ask, it's like asking the mind, but asking the heart, if there was a fear around letting go, what would it be, and what would it revolve around? For me, just in that example that I shared, I feel like there was fear of fear of the unknown, fear of the evolution, fear of, who would I be, what would my business be without especially from working so many years to build, to have that growth, to build. I remember, journaling, wanting to be the go-to for Akashic Records. That was my vision. That was my goal. That's what I worked really hard for and co-created with the divine, of course. And then it's like, oh, what does that look like without this? And we really do. When we're letting go, we have to be in such a place of trust in where we're being called in, and authenticity. Oh my gosh. And authenticity is just like this word that gets thrown around all over the place. Like, let's just even strip it down. Authenticity is being real. Authenticity is like that truest part of your being. Real. And we have to be in those spaces. Like, how can you become anything that, you're divinely guided to be, that God's source divine? Like, how can you become any of that if you're not being real, if you're not being honest with yourself? And once again, though, there's like so many times living life and being human where you go through the motions, where you do this because you have to do it, or it's just it's almost expected in different ways, and it is what it is. But not compromising that, even if it feels scary, even if you don't know what's on the other side. And I found for myself, there's been so much letting go. Letting go, letting go, letting go. Letting go of dreams and visions, letting go of beliefs, letting go of attachment, letting go of personalities and identities. But in that letting go and that shedding and that stripping, you become more real. Right? Sometimes we have masks that we wear in the world, or, these characters that you have, or roles, right? Like you could be a mother, you could be a wife, you could be a friend, you could be a daughter, you could be this and that, and all of the other things. You've got these roles that you wear, and not to say that you can't be authentic in those roles, but who are you beyond the role? Like these are questions to ask. Who are you beyond the role? Oh, and did I stop reading Akashic Records? Those are still around. They've transformed though. They've transformed. I'm no longer doing the certifications for Akashic Records. See, this is the whole thing, where there are endings, there are beginnings. And if I'm being fully transparent, so much of my heart has been put into Path of the Heart. It's a program that I've had for 3 years, and it started off more as a mentorship capacity, and it really is. If I could dilute it and just kind of do a Cole's Note version of what it is, like that is an initiation of going through. Talk about shedding and letting go. Oh my gosh. Anybody that's taken Path of the Heart, it's like, whoa! Because you're looking at beliefs, identifying like where you could have things that are holding you back. It's just like, anything and everything to start with, like the childhood, soul imprinting. Like it just really goes through these initiatory chambers of becoming, of remembering. And not that work wasn't being done with the Akashic Records. It absolutely has been. However, I just found so much of my heart was focused on that. But part of me was also so attached to the not letting go of Akashic initiation, to not let go of the Akashic Records trainings, even though in my heart I knew and felt more was being asked of me for Path of the Heart. And this is an interesting thing too. As I said, it started out as a mentorship, but oh, you will be called out, okay? You will be called out by God, source, divine, like when things are needing to be shifted, right? Because there was an aspect of the way that it was structured that it was almost like gatekeeping, and I didn't see it at the time. But the program was definitely limited in the capacity or the ways in which it could touch people. And it was being gate kept a little bit. And that was never what it was meant to be created for. And so lots of things shifted and transformed with that. And it was really something that was co-created with the divine. And from all of the work that I've done with clients, like doing Akashic Records, but more primarily like the mentorship, like one-on-one mentorship that I was experiencing with my clients, because there's themes that come up for people. We're human. We are human. We're going to have these common threads that connect us. So often people would come either for business, but then we'd be looking at childhood. So it's just like it started to just, there were these common themes that were coming up for clients where I laughed. Sometimes I would laugh. I'm like, okay, like I'm getting it. Like there's a formula here. And not to say that, your healing can be put into a formula, but there's specific, to to be able to become, let's even put it this way, to be able to become who you're destined to be able to become that most authentic expression, to be able to become lighter, to lighten the loads, to let go of all of the stuff that keeps you held back. There are specific, and I'll use that word again, initiations, or there's specific pathways of healing to go through. Healing and transformation. And it feels like you can't get to one without going through the other, right? So I was really seeing that a lot. And then just that's where Path of the Heart became developed. But like I said, it was being gate kept because it was like more of a closed mentorship container, which, you know, could only be for a select few. So that didn't feel right in my heart, and it's just evolved and grown, and it's truly something that has been life-changing in many different ways, not only for clients I've worked with, but for myself. Like, I've gone through the program, like doing life. So, Akashic initiation trainings aren't happening anymore, but the readings still are there. But once again, that's transforming. I feel like it's so important because these last few years have been that shedding that I was speaking about, and just like stripping away all the layers of perhaps, identity has been huge, but like different identities. So just stripping it all away, it's made me appreciate being human more and actually being present in life. I find there's benefit in going to the higher realms. Like, don't get me wrong, there are benefits to going into the higher realms and to remember who you are as a soul. But at the same time, sometimes we can become so fixated with that. Like, I know myself, I did. Just like, there's so much to learn and explore about your soul, but then you might, it's everything in balance. So let's even just say that. Everything in balance, because even with the letting go, like you, like boom, 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 let go, like you need to have breaks in between that you can integrate, so that you can breathe. You don't have to keep letting go and letting go and letting go. Like, pause, have those moments. So it's just to have that balance. But I know for myself, because the last two, like 2024 was almost the beginning of all of the unraveling of what wasn't real anymore for who I was becoming, you know, like, because sometimes we keep things in our lives and our worlds because they've been there forever, or we were talking about this, like, because it's comfortable. But what if it's not fully in alignment with where you're at and where you want to go? Right? So for myself, like, what I noticed, so yes, Akashic records are still there, but it's different. Like, it's transformed too. And even with the trainings, it's been so beautiful to see. Like, it's just to have conversations, like when a student's like, oh my gosh, this all makes sense. You know, they've uncovered patterns that they've been experiencing in this life, but understanding where it's come from, like going to the root. That's what I've loved. And just even the practitioners, now being able to not only read their own records, but to help others and support others. Like, that's been so inspiring to see. However, for me, in a teaching capacity, not that I was falling out of love with teaching. I really enjoy sharing transformational experiences with people that really open up the mind and open up the heart and go into remembrance. But there were parts of it that just felt like being on autopilot because, I've been teaching Akashic Records workshops for like 10 years, like almost 10 years, maybe 8 years. I think it was 8 years, working with the Akashic Records professionally for 10 years, but doing the programs for 8 years. And I could feel my passion for it dwindling. And I didn't like that. You know when you got that feeling and you're just like, it's like the thrill is gone. And then you try to like see, okay, but trying to reignite it, and the flame was dwindling. But because it's your business, because it's what you do, oh my gosh, the identity. I continued to do it. But in 2024, it was a huge like opening for me of like seeing that even though you can do the classes, even though it's bringing in your income, it's your sense of stability, the passion wasn't there. And I don't feel like that's fair. And once again, so this is just me. I don't think it's fair to the students. I don't think it's fair to clients if you're not, if you're showing up because you have to show up, because your heart's not in it. Like I pulled back from a lot of things for the reevaluating, to take time to not be running specific programs, to not have certain sessions, to see to let go. Some have been coming back, but some aren't. And I know, oh my gosh, this human experience, I know we're not gonna love everything that we do. Okay, we're not going to like and love everything we do. But at the same time, I believe, once again, and to be in that space of integrity, it's really important to be invested in what you're doing, especially if it's your business. Especially if you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business. You created your own business to do what you love, right? Not to work for someone else. So it's really important to look at that. And maybe passion's dwindling in specific areas because there is something that's forming behind the scenes in that divine plan. So like I said, for myself, path of the heart is like where I was being shown that's my life's work, and it's not Akashic Records. I don't know how to explain that. The Akashic Records have been such an integral part of my life, personal life and professionally. They've been such a huge part of my life, but they're not my life's work. Path of the heart is my life's work. That's it. I don't even know how to explain it in any other way, and I just feel it so strongly. So there's been so much letting go. Yes, when you get a sense that a cycle is done, there is a withdrawal. And there is, where there can be this element of it being bittersweet too. There might be a grieving process that comes through it. And the more that we hold on, like this goes for anything in life, the more that you hold on to what's not meant to be held on to, the more you will be shown, right? And in different ways. Like it's just like the heart grows cold, like cycles, perfect wording, cycles can be coming to completion. Cycles are coming to an end. And something that really struck home and strikes home for me that I don't listen all the time. I can't, just say, I listen to this all the time. No, I strive to listen to it all the time, to listen to those subtle cues and sometimes not so subtle cues of where where my heart is growing cold to things, where I'm being encouraged to grow, because where you're being encouraged to be still. So often, society just wants us to go, 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 go. And something like I've let go of, and folks I've worked with letting go of, is like that hustle mentality. And there's nothing wrong with working hard. There's nothing wrong with that. However, what if you get into these like vicious cycles of hustle, 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 where you're burning yourself out, like you're just exhausted, you're drained, like it sucks the life out of you and dwindles your passion. So I'm all for working hard, but we have to also be aware of potential toxic patterns or destructive patterns that come up for us around that. And then even like the hustle, where is that coming from? Is the hustling coming from scarcity, or is the hustling coming from motivation, right? Once again, understanding we're all going through different experiences, but to be mindful of that. I think it's so important to ask ourselves questions. So even for you, an inner reflection to bring into the heart space, we talked about, are there aspects of your life that are asking for change, and are you resisting or are you embracing it? But what about are there cycles that are in this moment coming to completion? Are you honoring cycles that you're experiencing in this life that are coming into completion, or that are wanting to grow? Yes, I found that the hustle may be from not listening to guidance. Oh, I just chuckle with that because, I cannot even fathom the amount of stillness that I have walked into because hustle. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. It was like extreme, but something that I really was able to witness. Interesting. The 7/7 portals have just been such eye-opening life experiences. But I found, for me personally, when I was in my hardcore hustle mode, it was almost a form of escapism from life, right? Things that were going on in my personal life that I maybe didn't want to fully look at or be involved in, or just like be in the life thing. So my hustle, all attention and focus went to work. And the hustling and just like work. Gotta have all the clients, gotta do. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Can we just say there's nothing wrong with that? However, intentionality is so important, because like I was sharing, it was more of an escapism for me. And at the time, I didn't see it, but I've become more aware of it. And so, working with those patterns and letting go of that. And that's why, oh my God, been so devoted to the soul remembrance and, our soul experiences. And then at the same time, and I've talked about this, if you've taken Akashic initiation, like, even if you've had readings, you just know it's like we talk about your soul choosing you and your soul choosing to be here. So yes, it's so important to know all that you're connected to. But in this now moment, like this embodiment of you, now, right now, your soul chose. And there's nothing beyond you right now to get like over fixated on. And there's a superpower. Oh my God. And I just laugh about this because before, even though I spoke about it, perhaps there wasn't an embodiment of it. There is a superpower to being human. There is a superpower to tapping into the wide range of emotions we have as human. There's a superpower in being the embodiment of love in the world, to be kind to other humans, to have interactions in real life, and of course, virtual spaces, but to have connections and form relationships, and I even want to say be a light in the world. Like there is a superpower to that, and I feel like it can be forgotten. And ultimately, if you, and this comes up so often, like that question, what is my purpose? I can't even count the amount of times that I have done sessions for clients, or even in programs like different trainings, where that's like the number one question that comes up. What is my purpose? And sometimes the answer is not, glamorous, because you are your purpose. You are your purpose. You, as messed up as you might think you are, as evolved as you might think you're, like, all of the things, you are your purpose. You being here now is your purpose. You being present is your purpose. There's nothing else that you need to do other than be you. That's even this whole letting go to become. That's why being connected into who you really are, like being on the path of the heart, or whatever that is for you, being connected into the presence of yourself on this journey, and the divine, God, source divine. You're not alone. We're not alone. We are not alone. Yes, all that is, like, it's so important to be in that and to be that. And yes, I'm learning to hold all of it. I think we had a call, when was that? We had a call this month, and it was, or maybe it was a couple calls ago. Kind of everything. See, everything's melding together. Time, days, all of it. But there was talking of the holding it all together. It's you are here right now. But you have all of these threads and strings, like all of these threads connecting you to all that you are and all that is. But you're the center, you're the focal, you would be the glue that's keeping everything together. And to know that, so you might not know all that you're connected to. We could say, we are all connected to God, source divine, like that higher creator power, creative power, birthing power, the creator of the creation. So we're all connected to that. So we might not know all of those other soul experiences, but to know that you're connected into that, to know that you're able to receive from that. I was going to say pull from that, but you're able to receive from that. To know that everything that you're connected to, you're not only receiving from, but you're feeding into. And there can be so much separation and divide that's created. And even within self, there could be those ideas of, oh, if I just do this, then, or, oh, if I just have that, then. But at the core of you, and like that real you, is that even true? Or are those stories? Are those other people's projections? And can we normalize being okay with change? Can we normalize like changing as human beings? Being able to let go, normalizing letting go, not necessarily having to be painful or a bad thing where you it's just like got to clutch on for dear life. I laugh because, oh my gosh, so much change has been happening in my life, but the change was a catalyst of, divine God saying, things got to change, girl, you're not doing it. Let's create these opportunities and experiences that are a catalyst for change. I know I'm not alone here. Sometimes you get your back pushed against a wall, or, like these life-altering experiences happen, and those are the catalysts for change. Very rarely, as humans, do we full-blown initiate the changes. We do. Some of us are more open to it than others, but so often, and see, this was another thing, like so often there will be these patterns where things have to happen to create the change. But isn't there a sense of freedom to know that you yourself can create the changes too? If you're being guided or nudged to do things, it's not coming out of nowhere. And if it feels loud or confusing or you're unsure, could you bring it to God, divine? Whatever words we want to use. I'm using the word God. There's a charge with that word. I'm aware I used to be triggered by that word as well. But once again, like that's letting go of everything connected to that has adulterated that word. Just go to source, go to God, go to source and say, asking. These changes feel intimidating. I feel overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. You're not alone. So opening up that communication. And you will know. Like, that's the interesting thing as well. Sometimes you might think you don't know, but you know. I found that so fascinating with readings, like the more recent ones. It's just, people aren't necessarily coming to me. Sure, they're asking life questions or business questions that they're wanting more insight on, but more often than not, like it's confirmation. It's literally confirming what they already know. So it's not, maybe before it was a lot more uncertainty, perhaps folks even like being very lost, but now it's more confirmation. So you might think you don't know, but you know. It is freeing to know that I am in charge. Yeah, well, and we get to choose. That's the whole thing too. We get to choose how we're going to show up in the world. We get to choose if we're going to be angry, resentful, unforgiving, cruel. Like, we get to choose that. And that's really, really important to know. So if we're talking about the superpower of being a human and even having that power of choice, because that's the whole thing. We've got divine plans going on behind the scenes. You can choose to not be part of that divine plan. You can choose to do, the things that you feel are going to be the best for you when maybe they're not. Like all of it. So we get to choose. And something that's so important. Oh, see the confirmations. Something that's so important as well. And I've been deep in the human more than ever. 2024 was like the beginning of it, but 2025 was like a commitment to fully living, being present, like getting out in community in the real world, like just, oh, wow. And it's been so eye-opening. It has been eye-opening. There's been like challenging moments there's been challenging moments of awkwardness with being human. There's been exciting moments, like conversations, everything. And the gift though of what I'm saying of like being human and being here now, and because we can choose how we're going to show up in the world, because we can choose what we're putting out there, like, what a gift that is. Of every morning you wake up and you say, okay, I'm going to be as real as I can be in the world. I'm going to be kind and loving in the world, whether I'm interacting, whether you're interacting with people out in the real world, whether it's a social media post, like just even your vibration, being, your state of being, choosing that and being committed to that. So like the letting go, maybe before you would have been affected or upset about specific things, or hold grudges, or just who knows what the human can try to put on the spirit and the soul, and the interferences that can happen from that connection to the divine, but being committed to that. So a question for the heart to ask yourself, who are you becoming? And it's honoring who you were, honoring what was, but who are you becoming? And what needs to be let go to become that? And like I said, there's been so many changes for me personally. Like 2023, huge, but yeah, so many changes personally and business-wise. Like, I feel like if things weren't transforming or evolving in business, I'd be concerned. I'd be concerned. It's like, oh my gosh, things. But, the autopilot's wonderful. The things that you can just know inside and out, and that you excel at, that you're an expert at, it's wonderful. However, we don't need to burn everything to the ground over and over and over. We don't need to do that. But there is a refinement process. So even letting go of hearts to heart journey the way that it was, it's been slow. It started in December of 2024. I let the incorporation go. Like the name was legally dissolving, and for the work in the Akashic Records, like we know that there's power in a name because that's who you are now, that's connected to you, that accesses you in this now moment. So in December, the name had been dissolving away. Like it's just more of, that there's a new website. Like there's just like everything's been happening, even though it's been slowly happening behind the scenes. And I'm so grateful to the amazing people I've met in the heart-to-heart journey and the heart-to-heart journeys that we've been on. I'm so grateful to it and for it. And it's just the evolution, right? The caterpillar turning into the butterfly. I find it so fascinating that to come into that cocoon format, everything turns, like we could call it goo. Like everything that caterpillar was before is no more. Like literally, like this goo in the cocoon becoming the butterfly. Like that blows my mind. I posted a video on my feed with that process because I'm so amazed by it. Like that whole process. And we go through that in different ways. Yes, the refinement of the skills. Yeah, see, this is the whole thing. There's evolution, and some things do come to an ending, but more than anything, it's almost like it is that evolutionary process, or like where the caterpillar's becoming the butterfly, where and the whole thing of mastery in its own is you're learning what works and what doesn't work. You're building and advancing skill sets. Like someone that, let's say life coaching, for example, someone that has just taken a life coaching certification. Well, you know what though? Life. Life experience. Because I was just going to say, someone that's just taken the certification, no, they might be a really good life coach. They might have taken like a couple months program, but their life could make them a very, very skilled life coach, versus, maybe there is no versus. As I'm saying this, it's like, no, there's no versus. We're all learning, we're all advancing. We all have those different skills, and mastery comes in many ways, because you could be book smart and that, and you got the skill set, but then you could be street smart and have the different skill set. So like their mastery is in so many different ways. And then can you imagine merging them together? The life, the knowledge, book smart knowledge, lived experience. But we have to be present. We have to be here. Because you can study and study and study and get all the trainings and all the certificates, but what good is it if it's not being put into practice? And you can be living and enjoying and being in life, but what good is it if it's not anchoring into you in a way, and I'm going to say this boldly, in a way that is not only service to self, but service to others. Right? So, last reflection for you. Who are you becoming, and what needs to be let go so that you can become? And when I say become, it's like capital B, capital E, and then become. It's just like becoming is so connected into being. So this was fun. Letting go to become. I go live Mondays, I would say on YouTube, but YouTube does some weird things sometimes. Like it cut me off a half an hour into the live, but Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So for a series called Becoming, go figure. So we'll be live again, but lovely to share energy with you and to see your reflections, and who are you becoming, and what must be let go to become. Lots of love. Mwah.